When building an n8n workflow, it happens that you have multiple triggers for a single workflow. It can be a form submission, a webhook, or a sub-workflow trigger. And it's usually difficult to deal with that because what happens if here we have a form submission where we ask your feedback type, if we want an AI step here and map it to your feedback, and we would ask summarize this feedback. Now, if we map it and run it, it works because we've actually mapped that to trigger here that has data, and it's specifically optimized for that. But what happens if we have this other branch where we have the feedback and the type that come in, and we start that branch? Here, if we look at this, actually the structure of data doesn't work. Here we had your feedback, but what we have here is actually feedback. So the solution for that is to use set nodes to prepare the data before consolidating it. So in your different triggers, the data comes in different formats. For example, in your webhook, it will be part of the body, and then you will eventually have a key called feedback. In your form submission, this time you will have, as we had, your feedback. The key will have the name of the question that was asked in the form. And if you prepare a sub-workflow, here you might have more control over that. But actually, you want at some point to have a set node that defines the two variables in our case that we want to use going forward in the workflow. And to make this consolidation happen, we basically need a set node just after every trigger where we set feedback type. We set exactly the same keys to kind of clean and prepare the data for the next node, so that in here we use the $JSON.feedback, which helps us to actually not directly mention the name of a node, but using this expression in n8n will automatically take the data from the previous node, and it will take the key feedback. So no matter if it comes from this path, or this path, it will, from here, have the same data structure. And when using it in a further node, we will simply be able to call the data from that node. Same for here. We will here map the type to the node consolidate data trigger. Let's give a try, for example, to the form submission, and we say if we signal a bug, our data here doesn't look clean, but we prepare it, we clean it into this format so that this node is capable, no matter what path was taken, what trigger path was taken, we always return it in a clean way, so that in here in Slack, for example, JSON.text is the response of the AI, so that's all good. But for the type, we use the data from the consolidation node, and we are good to go. So you can really adapt that technique for any type of trigger, but you can also use that maybe later in your workflow if you suddenly have two different paths and you want to merge them. I really recommend taking a look at this technique. So I hope this was useful and that it allows you to build more reliable workflows. Cheers.